Hi, welcome to Bathtub. Joel Masturbate, the Scott Bradfield. This is my mineral water, fresh mountain water. No, Toto, you making a fuss because you heard me? Um, nothing else exciting to tell you except that in the last episode, which I just finished filming, I had to film it like 3 times because the pet's going crazy, and I literally repeat myself. I really look literally. It should be used in classes to teach people about dementia, what to look for when you see dementia. Anyway, we're going to do a very nice short one today. I got 2 or 3 I wanted to do, but these always take forever because getting the pets in line. Lucky's, I've you hear from everybody. We're up and down with Lucky. She's okay for a few days. I try to wear her out. That seems to help. She's on medication. Had 2 different trainers. We're having to have a third trainer. It's they want to put her on Prozac. It's kind of depressing some days. She just completely loses it, and so many things upset Lucky, and she's so freaked out. And then some of the trainers say that it's because we spoil her too much, which is probably true. We definitely spoil her, but there's also something going on in that dog's head. We're doing our best, and we found a few more things to try today. I'm doing these quickly. I'm doing this is called Pulp Fiction. We're going to do two works of Pulp Fiction, which when I'm kind of depressed, and I've been pretty depressed about Lucky lately, I really read just total crap. And I read the second volume in the Fu Manchu series. I know I did the first one, and I said I don't know if I'll read any more of these, but I kind of like them. I know they're considered very racist, and like a lot of Pulp Fiction, and I still think this one kind of interesting. And I also read the fourth volume in the Pellucidar series by Edgar Burroughs. It's called Tarzan at the Earth's Core. And I'm pretty sure this is the first Tarzan novel I ever read. I've had friends tell me that the Tarzan books are his best books. Excuse me. And didn't read a lot of Edgar Rice Burroughs, as we've talked about, but I do like the Pellucidar series. And this one, again, we'll do all our research while we're on camera. This comes out, what year does this come out in? 1929 was a hardcover edition. It's the fourth volume, and so it's basically Tarzan. If you know the Tarzan books better than most people, or like me, you know it better than me. Tarzan is not like this talks in ape language. He's a British aristocrat who ends up living in Africa in the jungle with the apes, and he speaks very good English, and he's when he comes back to England, he prefers wearing a loincloth, of course, but he can still dress up. He can clean up pretty smart, old Tarzan. Lord Greystoke is his name. And in this one, the story is about this. We're in the fourth volume, and the guys who disappeared into Pellucidar, which is the inside of the earth, have disappeared in the first 3 volumes. And I forget the leader's name, but he's in prison. One of the bad guys has got him in prison. And the end volume 3 with like a bunch of cliffhangers. And so we have Tarzan meets up with somebody who wants to go help save this guy. And they build a big dirigible to go up to the North Pole, and there's supposed to be a hole in it, the Sims hole, I think they used to call it. And you can go inside the Earth, and they can go to Pellucidar. I have to say that the whole thing and the whole about the captain and all the crew of this dirigible reminded me a lot. A lot of us love Thomas Pynchon's Against the Day. You remember the big dirigible in that gigantic book? It's very similar. There's a lot of kind of similar ambiance to those. And Tarzan goes with them. He goes into the earth where there's like dinosaurs. It's the old standard inside of the earth cast of characters and giant apes and bears and so forth. And they go looking for each other. And the plot of it, Edgar Rice Burroughs' book, and certainly the plot of this one, is that you usually have like 2 or 3 main characters, and very quickly they get separated from each other. And then they're constantly fighting different creatures that come along and then they sometimes they run into each other, or they often meet like if it's a guy, he meets a feminine, like a really sexy girl wearing a loincloth as well, and a rabbit skin brassiere. And they meet each other, and those women are always tough too, and they fight pretty well. And then they meet the brothers of the woman who's looking for the guy. It is first of all, it's just infinitely huge inner world, because it's 4 times bigger than our Earth, because it's the inside. Check your math in your geometry textbooks. But anyway, inside it's huge, and for some reason they travel thousands and thousands of miles. They keep running into. Every time they run into somebody, it's like, oh yeah, you're the guy I met before, and they're always saving each other from different bad guys. Dodo, could you come here and shut up? Come. 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 Dodo she's inside a lot more because Lucky's been up here with me. And we got the hat out. What's the hat here for, Lucky Dodo? So that's what we've been doing all day. Anyway, the plot is ridiculous, and for some reason I did like it. It wasn't my favorite of the Pellucidar series. It's funny because you have Tarzan going through, and he meets all these people, and they kill a lot of creatures in order to get reunited with the woman they met three months before, and then they find her again, and they're all heading towards some place, and then finally in the last 2 pages, they just summarize. They catch up, like they get the guy out of prison, and they resolve the war, and all this tangled plot threads for the first 3 volumes, they're just literally resolved in like a couple of paragraphs of summary. I was kind of surprised by that. Anyway, not my favorite of the series, but I would say that series is the one to read, particularly if your dog's going insane and you spend a lot of time giving her medication and you don't really want to think too much. Same appeal is for this. The second of the Fu Manchu books, I got some people pretty mad at me even saying anything about the first Fu Manchu books, but I have to say I do find something kind of charming about these books. They remind me a lot of Arthur Conan Doyle in the way they tell the story. The central character, which is a couple of old guys, one of them is a doctor who's helping some guy help fight Fu Manchu, and Fu Manchu's come back from wherever it is he went in the first volume. And what more can I say about it? It's not like a novel. It's clearly a series of short or long stories that one after another. And usually each story begins where a friend of theirs is attacked by usually they think it's a monster or a ghost or a vampire. And they think that Fu Manchu is behind it. And then it turns out usually that it's some creature or a bat or some special venom that Fu Manchu has created to kill everybody. And they capture Nayland Smith and, what's the 2 guys' names? Dr. Petrie and Nayland Smith are the 2 guys, the 2 old guys in it who are fighting Fu Manchu. And for some reason, all the stories remind me of the Speckled Band. Do you remember the Sherlock Holmes story? Where Sherlock Holmes and Watson go stay at some house, and some woman has died. A couple of people have died with looks of terror on their faces, and they think some monster has killed them, and it turns out it's a snake that's been led into their house, into their bedroom. They're almost all plots like that. And for some reason, they're just kind of told in a way, this kind of weird, exotic language that is kind of absorbing. I did mark a couple passages because I wanted to read a passage or 2. This is a passage describing Fu Manchu. It says 165. This is one of the many times they keep running into Fu Manchu, and he says, "I'm going to do horrible things to you and tear you, make you weep with pain." And then of course they get away. Oh, and there's a girl named, I can't remember her name now, Kamarana. She's Asian, sort of. She's Asian, and she's lost her memory, and every time they're in trouble, she saves them. But they think she's working for Fu Manchu, and then they get caught again, and she saves them again. It's the same story over and over again, and for some reason I found the whole storytelling kind of comforting. Here's a description of Fu Manchu. In the high-backed chair sat Dr. Fu Manchu, wearing a green robe upon which was embroidered a design, the subject of which at first glance was not perceptible, but which presently I made out to be a huge white peacock. He wore a little cap perched upon the dome of his amazing skull, and when with one clawish hand resting upon the ebony of the table, he sat slightly turned toward me, his emotionless face a mask of incredible evil. In spite of, or because of, the high intellect written upon it, the face of Dr. Fu Manchu was more utterly repellent than any I have ever known. And the green eyes green as those of a cat in the darkness, which sometimes burned like witch lamps, and sometimes were horribly filmed like nothing human or imaginable, might have mirrored not a soul, but an emanation of hell, incarnate in this gaunt, high-shouldered body. Stretched flat upon the floor lay Nayland Smith, partially stripped, his arms thrown back over his head, and his wrists chained to a stout iron staple attached to the wall. They're always in dungeons and they have to break out, right? And then Kamarana comes along and saves them. I don't know. They're ridiculous. They're definitely the vision of China as being this evil ancient empire coming to get all the nice European people is definitely in there, but it's still, they're kind of well done stories. I was looking around to see what other people thought, so I looked in Lovecraft. I thought Lovecraft would have probably liked some of this, and he said he referred to, he said Sax Rohmer is a total hack. He really didn't like him. So anyway, I don't know. I find it kind of interesting. They're very formulaic, but they're good when your dog is going crazy and you're trying not to think about anything. Okay, stay safe. There you go. Pulp Fiction. I can't play the theme song from Pulp Fiction, which of course you'd think we should, but of course we'll be sued. Stay safe.